Okay, this is number 3 on the quiz. Number 3 it said inverse tangent, tangent 7 pi over 4. And the entire point of this problem was to see if you would use what you know about inverses combined with what you know about inverse trig functions. So for example, we know that the inverse tangent of the tangent of x is x, or backwards, the tangent of the inverse tangent of x is x. That's how inverse functions work in general. So I drew the angle 7 pi over 4 in blue. The tangent of 7 pi over 4 is 1. So then this equation becomes the inverse tangent of 1, because that's what the answer to tangent 7 pi over 4 is. So now we're just evaluating inverse tangent of 1. Well, that answer is negative pi over 4. It's not 7 pi over 4 because of how we restrict the domain of the inverse functions. So the entire point of the lesson on inverse functions was that instead of looking at your graph from negative infinity to infinity, you're going to look at a portion of the graph. We're going to restrict the domain. So for tangent, we restricted it from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So when we're saying, where does tangent equal 1? And really, this should be negative 1, shouldn't it? So negative 1, negative 1, right? So where does tangent equal negative 1? Well, here's my graph within my restricted domain, negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Where does tangent equal negative 1? And that's at negative pi over 4. That's the only answer. Some of you guys were saying 3 pi over 4. Some of you guys were saying 7 pi over 4 because you're using the idea of an inverse composite function. Okay? But the understanding of where we're getting our answers from is what I'm testing you on with this question. And that idea will not change for the entire year. It is very important to me as your teacher that I show you why we're doing what we're doing whenever I can. So why is inverse tangent defined from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2? When we're in quadrant 4, why does it matter that I'm using negative pi over 2, even though that's a coterminal angle? Sorry, not negative pi over 2, but in this case, negative pi over 4. Those are coterminal angles. Why? It's because of this graph. The inverse trig function for tangent. If I graph y equals inverse tangent x, if I want that graph to be a function, meaning that it passes the vertical line test, that means that the original function, tangent, which is shown right here from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, has to pass the horizontal line test. If I do more than one period of the tangent function, more than one cycle, it won't pass the horizontal line test. This is why the answer is negative pi over 4. I don't know why 3 pi over 4 even came up, unless you were thinking about cotangent. The cotangent graph does go from 0 to pi. And then your answer makes sense. You just made a mistake with remembering, what does the tangent graph look like? Where did we restrict it? So that's number 3.